राधा रमन हरि गोविंद जय जय। गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय। गोविंद
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। भगवद गीता चैप्टर 2 वर्स नंबर 23। न एनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि न एनं दहति पावकः न च एनं क्लेदयन्ति आपो न शोषयति मारुतः। The soul can never be pierced by any weapon, nor burnt by fire, nor moistened by water, nor dried by the wind. So here Lord Krishna is further explaining the properties of the soul. Just like when we describe various chemical elements in a periodic table, we describe the physical and the chemical properties of each one of these elements, whether it's odorless, colorless, malleable, like this, so many properties are there for each material element. Similarly, for the spiritual element, the soul, there are many specific properties. And what is the meaning of the property? See, the property of an element is very specific to it, and it differentiates it from the other elements. For example, the color or the melting point, each element has its own melting point. Similarly, the soul has properties that are distinct and differentiated from other elements. Here, Krishna specifically describes 4 distinctive properties of the soul. He says that the soul can never be pierced by any weapon. Now, anything that we see in this world, including our body or anything else around us, for example, the trees or structures like houses, buildings, anything that we see, all of those can be pierced by one or the other type of weapon. For example, our hand can easily be cut by a knife. A huge building can easily be pierced by a bomb. So all the material structures that we see, including our own body, are vulnerable to different types of weapons. They can be hurt or even destroyed by different weapons. And in today's age, there is a weapon race. There is a race to acquire more and more arms by different countries, by different individuals. Why? Because by having more powerful weapons, they want to overpower their enemies. But the soul cannot be pierced by any weapon. Krishna specifically says the word shastrani, means irrespective of whatever type of weapon it may be, the soul cannot be impacted, cannot be pierced, means it cannot be cut into pieces by any such weapons, nor can it be burnt by fire. So the trees, the homes, everything that we see around, which is material in nature, has carbon in it, can easily be burned down by fire. We see so many trees currently, so many forest fires happening in California that are burning acres and acres of trees and also devouring so many houses and other structures. But the soul is anti-material in nature, and therefore it cannot be burned by any type of fire. In the previous ages, even during the time of the battle of Kurukshetra, the science of warfare was very, very advanced. The weapons were of many different categories. There were weapons that were based on fire, similar to the weapons that we have today, including the nuclear weapons. But not just they were based on fire, they were based on other material elements also. For example, water, wind, earth, and ether. So therefore, in the next line, Krishna says that the soul cannot be moistened by water. So there were water-based weapons which we don't have today, and also there were weapons that were based on wind and tornadoes. In the pastimes of Lord Krishna, when he was a little baby in Vrindavan, just after a few days of his birth, a demon called Trinavarth came. This demon was also called the whirlwind demon. He came in the form of a big tornado and picked up baby Krishna and took him up in the sky, where Krishna just held his neck, and this demon suffocated to death. So there were people like demons with mystical powers that were based on the force of the wind. Similarly, there were weapons that were based on the force of the wind power. Of course, these days we don't see such weapons, and in reality, even though we think that we are advancing, and in the previous ages the science was not so advanced, the truth is that hundreds and thousands of years ago, during Dwapar Yuga and then in Treta Yuga and Satyug, the science was much more advanced. The weapons could even be controlled by the mind. So all these weapons, irrespective of what they are based on, whether they have fire power, whether they have water power, whether they have wind power, or any other categories of weapons, Lord Krishna is saying that these material forces that can hurt and impact anything material in nature, just as our body, the buildings, the trees, other animals, everything that we see around us, but it cannot hurt the spirit soul. So therefore, O Arjun, these weapons that you are going to use and think that you are going to kill Bhishma and Dronacharya and others, actually their soul is not going to be hurt by the action of these weapons. Weapons including your bow and arrow as well. So don't think that you are going to be killing them. Now, there is a very important point to understand here. Krishna says the soul cannot be cut into pieces. So, if the soul cannot be cut into pieces, that means that it was never cut from the original super soul. So, if it was never cut from the super soul, it means that the soul has eternally existed in the same form and fashion. This is where the Dvait philosophy is different from Advait philosophy, or the personalists, as Krishna is explaining in this verse and will explain throughout Bhagavad Gita, is different from impersonalism. Impersonalism or Mayavad, which is called Advaitism, all this philosophy states that there is one supreme Brahm, one supreme effulgence or light, and that when part of it is covered by illusion, that becomes the conditioned souls in this world. They give the example just like as the sky is covered by the cloud, similarly the cloud of illusory energy, when it covers the Brahman, that becomes the Jiva. So in that sense, those Jivas are cut from the Supreme Brahman or Supreme Soul. But Krishna is refuting this philosophy or this understanding here by stating that the soul can never be cut. Na enam chindanti shastrani. That the soul can never be cut into pieces. And this is explained in many other scriptures. Shri Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ji quotes from the Varaha Puran, where it says that the living entities are described as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. They are eternally so according to the Bhagavad Gita also. So there was never a time that the souls were cut from the Supreme Soul, because if that was the case, then after liberation the souls will merge into the Supreme Soul, as the Mayavadis or the Advait school of philosophy states. But Krishna will explain in Bhagavad Gita that even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains a separate identity. He never merges into the Supreme Brahman. Here also, as Krishna is giving this transcendental knowledge to Arjun, by understanding and embracing this knowledge being given by Krishna, Arjun will become liberated, but we don't see that he will become one with Krishna. When we say metaphorically that someone has become one with the Lord, what that means is that one has become of the same nature, that transcendental nature. It does not mean that one has lost his or her identity and merged into the Supreme Lord. Again, this is an important point to understand, and our acharyas have emphasized this over and over again, because unless we understand this very fundamental point, we will not understand the true meaning of what Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita. So the soul is an anti-material particle and has properties which are completely opposite to that of the matter. It cannot be pierced by weapons. Unlike the matter, it cannot be burned by fire. Unlike the matter, it cannot be moistened by water. And unlike the matter, it cannot be dried by the wind. Our material body experiences this piercing by the fire, burning by the piercing by the weapons, burning by the fire, moistening by the water, and drying by the wind. This is all because of the material body. And as we rise above the body, we will be able to transcend these. We see in case of so many yogis, and even in the case of Bhakt Prahlad, who was completely absorbed in unflinching devotional service to the Lord, that his body was not impacted by these things. Hiranyakashipu tried to get him killed by many weapons. He was not killed. He tried to burn him in the fire by having his sister Holika, who actually had the boon that she would not be burnt by fire. She took Prahlad and sat inside the fire, but amazingly she was burnt to ashes, but Prahlad was not. He tried to throw him down from the mountains and tried to kill him in so many different ways, but Prahlad was always protected by the grace of the Lord. Because Prahlad was not in material consciousness. He was situated on the transcendental platform because he was constantly meditating on the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and constantly chanting his holy name. Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe, have a very blessed day.
Radhe 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 Jagati Radhe